Hey, what's up guys? So today I'm going to show you how you can get this really cool whole lot of red album cover effect. Now this effect was actually popularized by Slash magazine way back in the day, which is a cool punk magazine. So whoever ended up making Carti's album was obviously influenced by this. But I think overall the effect is really cool and it's just a fun sort of grungy look. So I'm going to show you how you can achieve a very similar effect today in Photoshop for whatever graphic design stuff you're working on. Now first things first, we're going to make a new document and go 1080 by 1080. And now you're going to want to drop in whatever photo that you're working with. So I think to keep it in the style of the album art, I'm going to use this photo of Sid Vicious. And then I'm actually going to select the quick select tool. If you want to do something a little bit more precise, you might want to use the pen tool or something else, but for the sake of this tutorial, I think this will work fine. Now for the effects that we're going to be using today, you really don't need your selection to be super spot on, but having it pretty good always helps. Now you're going to want to go over here to the top right adjustment layer section and hit threshold. Now threshold does a lot of the heavy lifting in terms of this effect, and you can just adjust the threshold level. So I think I'm going to keep mine right about here. Yeah, that's cool. All right. And also just for the sake of ease, I'm going to merge these layers. So I'm just right clicking on them and hitting merge layers. And then you're going to want to select a paintbrush. Now for this portion of it, you're probably just going to want to use a pretty normal brush. You don't need anything too crazy. And then just make sure that you have the color set to black. And now I'm just going to go in and sort of fill in some of these sections where I don't want it to be white. Now this is something that if you're working on something important, you might want to spend a lot of time doing, but for the sake of this tutorial, I'm just going to do a quick one. I think I'm going to speed this section up though. Now the next step is going to be to grab a shape tool over here on the left, and I'm going to grab the rounded rectangle, but you could really use whatever you want. And now I'm just going to draw what's essentially going to be our frame for this. So I want to have a little space on the top and bottom. I'll do something like that. Now you just kind of want to get it where you want, make sure it's relatively centered or whatever you're looking for. And then we're going to put our photo over it. And now I'm actually going to right click on our photo and hit create clipping mask. Now I was working on mine pretty quickly, so you can see sort of some of these white lines where you can tell that the photo was kind of quickly selected. So I'm just going to go over here and adjust them. Sometimes it's cool if some parts are popping out, but I'm going to just kind of clean mine up a bit. Now I think that this one works really well, and if you do a clean selection in the front end, you won't actually have to do that part. So now we're almost there. I think the next thing we just have to do is add the text. Now for this, I'm using the font Brush Script MT. I'll link that in the bio, but you can really use whatever you want. I just typed in red. I'm going to pick a color we like. I think that's cool. Now I'm commanding T. I'm just going to move this around a little bit. I think something like that. Cool. Now, the text on its own is a little boring, so we're going to want to add that cool drippy effect that you see within the cover. So I'm going to go back over my brush tool, and I'm going to scroll down to this cool brush kit that I'm going to link in the bio that you guys can use for this. And I'm going to select this one right here. And now I'm going to go over here and make sure that the color is the same as our text. And then I'm going to create a new blank layer. I'm going to scale this brush down a lot. Okay. Now I'm just going to keep on clicking until it's fully filled up. Awesome. And I think that's all we'll need. So now I'm going to actually start just cutting up this brush section so that we can add the individual drips to the individual letters. Really quick, I'm going to duplicate this just in case we get a little too crazy. And then I'm going to go over here and use the polygonal tool, just since these are really simple shapes. So I'm just going to start selecting around the section we want to work with. And then Command C, Command V, and I'm going to paste. So now I'm going to hit Command T, and I'm going to move this over to our R and sort of play around with the position a little bit. I think that looks pretty cool. So then you're just going to want to bust out the eraser tool and sort of just go and clean it up a little bit. Alright, and now we're just going to want to repeat that process for the rest of the letters. I'm going to fast forward this section really quick, but you'll get the general idea. Cool. Now I think that this is actually pretty similar to the Playboi Carti album cover. So if you want to produce something like that, you can follow these techniques, or if you want to use these techniques on something that you're making on your own, you can kind of go off the rails and do whatever you want. So if any of this was at all helpful, feel free to like and subscribe to my channel. That'll help me out a ton, but until next time.